Good morning. Today I'm going to wind up some yarn that I have sitting for my next project. Of course, I'm not done with my first project, or probably my second or third, but my next project is going to be using this lovely olive green color from Hobby Lobby. It's called the Yarn Bee, and Soft Secret. It is the softest, smoothest yarn. Has a little bit of pile that comes off of it, but it's not too bad. This is a 300 yard skein, and I wanted to get it to a point where it looks like, looks like this. Has a nice little taut thing that comes out of the middle so that your project always stays nice and tidy. I have been the victim of the yarn monster many times. And the yarn monster, if you don't know what it is, can try the patience of Job. So anyway, I bought a yarn ball maker. And it was a reasonably inexpensive purchase off of Amazon, and it has a little thing you put here. Has a tensioner that comes loose for storage, but you put that there. I don't know why they call it a tensioner. It's not really a tensioner, and at first I thought maybe I was using it wrong, but basically it just leads your yarn through at a right position so that it makes your skein come out well. So I'm going to attach this to the bottom of my little TV tray here. I'm listening to White Christmas on YouTube. Sort of piano and I think that's a violin. It's pretty. Anyway, nice background music. So this thing it moves around. As you roll it, it goes around. This is the core, which you put in here and you turn. There you go. Now, what I like about this yarn is it has a beginning. There's no fishing around inside. Oh! I take that back. Let's see what happens here. Ooh, here we go. Let's start again. Wow, I've never had that happen before. So we'll put that in the little cycle thing there. So what I do is I take a little bit and I start it there. And I don't know if you can see this, but I go around to the back, and so it's like around the wire, and then I loop it around. So you're going straight through the little coil that's there. Get the scissors out of the way. And then I slowly, and I hold on to the yarn primarily so that it's just not flapping around doing whatever. And I can add a little bit of tension, not a lot, it's just sort of slipping through my fingers. And I can also feel if something comes up that's a knot or whatever, or a bunched amount of yarn that comes out in a chunk kind of thing. Oh, we got a commercial. We don't want to listen to the commercials. We'll wait till that goes through. Don't you just love it? Now we got two system commercials. Anyway, so you start cranking. And see on here, there's also rings. So you know if you want even size skeins, or cakes, I should say. You can stop once you're winding. When you get to a rim, like you want them all that size. Maybe it's a certain yardage or something that you might want that. I usually try on a 300 yard skein to go right here to this outer rim and then stop. But then we crank away, and hopefully the noise, this is kind of a low noise item, so you can still hear what you're doing on, if you're listening to something on TV. on the tube of you, and or you can crank up the music if you want, and then it totally obliterates the sound. But I don't advocate that, basically, because, you know, you want to make sure you're listening to music at a level that's good for your ears. But anyway, you can crank as fast as you want, or as you don't want to go super slow, because then you could have issues with where the tension in your ball, and you want your tension on the layer cake, or not layer cake, but the yarn cake, to be about the same all the way through, because you want it to be firm yet not overly tight or overly loose. And you see I'm getting almost to the edge. There's that outer rim. I want to get to that, because I know I've done another skein already, and just to figure out how much I could get to get 2 out of this. So we get to a spot where we're ready to stop. I was probably ready to stop here, because you don't want it to start winding around on top of itself too. I'll get the scissors, and then I cut it. You take it out of the wire corkscrew there, and I bring it over, and I pull a little tighter, and then I feed it under another yarn, just so it catches and doesn't come out. Now this one up here will have a tail like that, and all you do is pull it off, and you got one ready to go. So I'm gonna start another one. Go to the back, wind it around twice so that it's through the corkscrew of the tensioner, and then I start winding again. Now this thing, the good thing about this is you can crank this way, or if you're more comfortable cranking towards you, you can do that. I know it's only November and we haven't had Thanksgiving, but when I was a kid, I would listen to Christmas music in July all the way to December if my dad would let me. My dad used to tell my mom, he says, do you think there's something wrong with her? I grew up in Hawaii, so in July it's kind of warm. And to me, at night when I would go to bed, I'd put on a record, an actual album, Christmas music, and close my eyes and think that and actually make it seem like it's cooler just because I was listening to Christmas music. I'd usually fall asleep before listening to the whole thing, so then it would turn itself off when it was done. That was kind of the nice thing about putting an album on, is when it's done, the needle would lift up and an arm would pull it over to the side and turn itself off. We're getting there. See, we still got one more ring to go. And we're getting low on the skein. As you get to the bottom, though, you know, of your skein that you're loading, a lot of times there's some wonkiness inside the skein, only because it's getting to the, you know, hey, it was their beginning. I'm right at the edge. I'm really not wanting to go much farther than this, but I'm getting to the end. Because, yeah. Whew, we're almost there. Oh, and see, it's getting, whoa, we got all the way to the end. It's a little bigger than I wanted, so I could have put a little more on this one over here. But, well, it is what it is. I'll start with this one and finish with the other one, kind of thing. And then here's, you got your little tail up top. And you just pull it off. That's what the bottom looks like. See, that's why I don't like to go a little bit past that, is because this kind of comes that way. But it looks pretty when you look at it. It's got a nice little pattern, keeps it done. But I'll tell you, it is the best thing in the world for when you're working on a project, because you don't have to worry about your yarn skein becoming knotted in a wad there, and then having to stop and detangle or anything. This just comes right on out. So yeah, I like it. And I'm somebody who doesn't necessarily, you got lots of static going on in here, probably due to the wood stove. Time to get the humidifier out. But and this yarn has a little bit of piling coming off of it. But I hope you learned something on this video that you didn't know before. And it wasn't too painful to listen to me while I did all of this. And I didn't seem to have too many problems with this skein. Remember, when you get a skein, to always look inside. A lot of times on the outside there'll be a picture. And on here it says, doesn't tell you necessarily that there's a pattern inside. But if you carefully pull this apart, there's a pattern inside to make the picture that's on the outside. Anyway, I got that at Hobby Lobby. Got this on Amazon. I didn't want to spend a lot of money because I don't spend a lot of time doing this. If I spent a lot of time doing this, I'd spend a little more money. But I've seen a lot of different people on YouTube showcase what they have. And they have, some of them have elaborate, some of them have something like this. And I'm just as happy with this as I would be with something that costs 10 times more. Because one, I would have the money in the bank still, and I'd still be happy and have beautiful skeins that I can wind and use. So thanks for listening, and I'll see you next time I have something I'm doing that I might want to share that you might want to hear. Thank you.